Hello there, how are you getting on? It's Jay here, and welcome to my review of the greatest Royal Rumble ever! It was a network special that was broadcasted live from Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and before we get into anything, I will point out that yes, there was some controversy surrounding the location of this special and some of the circumstances around the event itself, and I will touch upon those briefly in this video, but the main point of this video is to talk about the show, so that's what we're going to do first, so let's just get right into it. As some of you may or may not have heard, the WWE were offered a substantial amount of money to do this event, reportedly around $200 million just for simply hosting the event. That doesn't include the ticket prices, the money made at the gate, or merchandise, anything like that. So they had a lot of house money to play with in terms of making the set and their overall production values. Like, there have been SummerSlams in recent memory that haven't had as impressive a stage or just an overall setting of the arena. It was very impressive looking, and one of the most obvious things you'll note when you're watching this is that the floor area is barren for the most part. There are some seats dotted around, really comfy looking seats, I might add as well. When I first saw those seats, I was like, hey, we've been to live events, why do we get stuck with the crappy chairs? They have really good chairs. What are they, royalty? Well, yeah, kind of. The people who were sitting on the ground floor were invites of the royal family, so they were given very nice chairs, and with the amount of seats that there was needed, a lot of the floor space was left empty there. So, yeah, fair enough. Another big theme of this event was pyro. While fans have been crying out for the return of pyro for what feels like an eternity, I know it hasn't been that long since the budget cuts removed all the pyro outside of pretty much just WrestleMania, but it has felt like such a long time since we've had good pyrotechnics displays at our WWE events outside of WrestleMania. And with the amount of house money that they were kind of playing with here and how much was riding on, you know, not just this show being successful, but them being able to go and have more shows in Saudi Arabia in the years to come, they really went all in with the pyro, and he had some of the best pyro displays I've ever seen at a WWE event. And like, it was at the start of the show, at the end of the show, you had so many performers were getting pyro for their entrances. It was so cool to see that come back. Now, if the money they've made allows them to bring the pyro back to the episodes of Raw and the B-Show pay-per-views, okay, cool. First match of the night is an exhibition match between two titans of the industry as John Cena goes one-on-one with Triple H. Initially, I was surprised to hear this match was going on first, but it actually made a whole lot of sense very quickly, because it becomes very obvious when you're watching the show that the Saudi Arabian fans aren't really that interested in being introduced to new people or to get more acquainted with people that they already know slightly. Like, they really, for the bulk of the show, you could see they just wanted to see the big names, the ones they can instantly identify, like with the megastars of the WWE, and you'd be hard pressed to find two kind of more instantly identifiable WWE superstars that are currently active right now than John Cena and Triple H. This match was the definition of a throwback match. It was very similar to the kind of matches you would have seen Hulk Hogan perform in the late 80s. It was paced very similarly, and you had the lots to test the strength to start off the match. You had the collar and elbow tie-ups and the Greco-Roman knuckle locks, and what I loved was the crowd was super into it. Like, for this very basic two big sweaty oily men grabbing onto each other and just throwing each other onto the ground, the crowd went nuts for every hold and every move that was done. And it was at that moment where I found myself going, oh, okay, you know what, I think we're gonna have fun tonight with this show. Not a whole lot to be said about this match outside of the throwback feel to it. Once it got kind of into the meat of the match, it was pretty much your standard Triple H and John Cena match, which on one hand is a bit of a pity, because for two guys who have been around in the WWE at the same time for so long, they've actually had very few one-on-one matches. So on one hand, I was hoping they'd do something special, because I'd really hate to see them have a one-on-one match like as one of the main events of like WrestleMania 35 or something like this. For me, this was like the perfect setting for them to not have a big blow-off feud match, but even just with it, just this kind of, hey, you know what, it's been a long time, let's have this one-on-one match to see who can come out on top, but very by the numbers. If you've watched any Cena or Triple H match and you're familiar with their movesets, you're going to know what they're going to do and pretty much when they're going to do it. I think that the only part, and it actually did have me on the edge of my seat, was when Cena went for the five-knuckle shuffle, Triple H was able to get up and hit him with a clothesline to knock him down, and then Triple H did the 5-knuckle shuffle, but then he went for the pin. And I sat up in my seat and kind of leaned in. I was like, wait a minute. And when Cena kicked out, I was very disappointed. A part of me was thinking, how hilarious would it be if out of all the moves Cena did, his most devastating maneuver was the 5-knuckle shuffle, but he never knew it because he never bothered going for a pin after it. It could have been up there with the people's elbow and the worm as some of the most devastating maneuvers in wrestling history. So as far as an exhibition match between John Cena and Triple H goes, this match was alright. And that's kind of a common theme of this show. In fact, I'm going to use that exact take there, and I'm just going to cut it and put it in through various other points in the video, whatever that sentiment rings true of a match. It wasn't that the match was really bad. It wasn't that the match was bad at all. The match was good, but just, you know what, it was an alright match between the two. They traded finishers. Cena hits an AA, Triple H kicks out, Triple H hits the pedigree, Cena kicks out. But what actually made me giggle a little was for the end of the match, Cena hits an AA, and instead of going for a pin, he just slingshots Triple H into the turnbuckle to get him standing up to hit like the second AA in a row or third AA of the match, and then goes for the pin. It's gotten to the point where even he knows he can't pin people with the AA anymore. He has to hit him like at least 3 times. It's like he hits that second one and he's like, oh, that we all know that's not going to work, but here, I like this cool trick, look, slingshot. And that was the end of the match. After the match, Cena gets on the microphone, thanks everyone, you know, the very grateful and humble man that Cena is, and kind of, you know, alludes to, despite all the problems or any problems that he'll ever have in his life for a show like this, he'd never miss it, and God, we love you for it, John, you're a great man. Oh, I forgot to mention, before we move on to the next match, the match between Cena and Triple H was roughly 15 minutes long, which I'm sure everyone was expecting it to be a bit longer than that, but it's kind of a theme of this show, because you have the greatest Royal Rumble to main event the match, which has 50 men in it. Every match on the card is a bit more or so on the short side, which for some matches will work and others not so much. Anyway, let's move on to the second match. Second match of the night is for the Cruiserweight Championship as Cedric Alexander defends his title against Kalisto. Now, I'm going to quickly get out of the way the 2 things that I didn't like about this match. First, the crowd was dead for it. This was when I realised that, alright, yeah, this crowd's only going to come alive for like the really top tier, like the John Cenas and the Triple H's. They're the guys that they're going to go nuts for, because no matter what Cedric or Kalisto did, they just couldn't seem to get the crowd too invested. There were points where the crowd would kind of briefly come to life and then just kind of simmer down. I think it might have also been a clash of styles, like the Saudi Arabian fans are just much prefer the big men grappling and throwing each other to the ground. The second thing I didn't like about this match was it was a bit too short. It was just over 10 minutes, but it was so awesome. Cruiserweight action, like it was the most I was into Kalisto since like he had won the United States Championship. I'm a big Kalisto fan. I had such high hopes for him, and I know in recent times he's kind of being labelled alongside Sin Cara as a guy who botches a lot, and I'm not going to say he never makes a mistake in the ring, but when you look at this match you can see the potential he has when, you know, he just hits every nail right in the head. It was so cool, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like that Spanish fly off the top rope was awesome. In my WrestleMania review I said I don't like the Spanish fly, and yet between that video and this one there are 3 Spanish flies I've said I've really liked. But Kalisto's one was by far my favourite because it was the one that came the closest to making sense physically, because he had Cedric sitting on the top rope and Kalisto actually kind of did like a sit-out springboard from it, so you can at least see where the momentum for the Spanish fly came from. Really cool match. Very early on, Cedric nearly killed Kalisto with a dropkick, just walloped him right in the head. I was very worried for him when he went down from that one, but you know, they managed to pick it back up. They just had a really good cruiserweight match. It's one that could have been like a top tier cruiserweight match if they were just given another 5 minutes, because they started off fast and then they pretty much just then got to the end, which was all like because the match was so short, they didn't slow down at any point, which on paper might sound like really good, but like these matches, you do need a moment to breathe, and they do need to be kind of brought out over like a slightly more extended period of time. But still, it was really good. Loved the finish. The finish of the match saw Kalisto looking to hit the Salino del Sol, but like Cedric was able to catch him and like spin it into his finisher, the lumbar check. well, no description I can give of it verbally will ever give it justice. I want to see, like, at Backlash, if they go, we're going to do Cedric and Kalisto again, but we're going to give them like 16, 17 minutes this time. I'm all up for it. I really hope they do that. And I said during my WrestleMania review that I'm going to start watching 205 Live again, and everyone else should. And I'm going to be honest with you, in the weeks since then I haven't found the time. Oh, I'm the worst. I'm like the worst human being ever. But like, after seeing this match now, like, I have to make the time at some point to watch some 205 Live, because I'm watching these matches with Cedric and I'm just like, you know what, there's too much potential. There's too much good going on here for it not to be watching it. So like, we'll all make a promise here and now. Just shake my hand, shake it. There we go. Yeah, there we go. It definitely wasn't just me shaking my own hand. Actually, I will make that promise with myself as well. Watch some 205 Live. Right, next match. Third match of the night and second championship match of the night features The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro, taking on the team of Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt for the vacant Raw Tag Team Championships. And I'm going to be honest with you, just before the match, they announced that for that night only, you could buy one t-shirt and get a second t-shirt for $1 or €1, I suppose, where I'm from, on WWEshop.com. I immediately booted up my PC, did a little bit of shopping, and when I turned back, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt were hitting Sheamus with the elevated or the assisted twist of fate, 1, 2, 3, and Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy won the championships. I've been meaning to go back and watch the full match, but like, as I was like listening and peering over every now and then, and I don't wish to be mean, it didn't sound like anything exciting really happened. This match was alright. The main thing I remember from the end of the match was, what actually had me in knots laughing, was when they lost, Cesaro actually got like Sheamus up on his shoulders in a fireman's carry and just started to sprint back up the ramp. And I don't know if they were going for a Sheamus is hurt and he's evacuating his friend, or in pure shame Cesaro's just picked up Sheamus and ran off with him. But like, a big part of me really hopes that as Sheamus was running up the ramp, he was screaming, "Hurry, get this man a pint!" All silliness aside, and it's involving Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, but all silliness aside, the thing I did feel the most from the match was I felt very happy for Bray Wyatt. You could see how happy he was to be in a tag team with Matt Hardy winning the Raw Tag Team Championships, which I think any wrestler in the world would be so ecstatic at the opportunity to get to tag with Matt and be kind of champions with them. And I'm really excited to see where they take this going forward. Mainly what I'm hinting at is I would love to see another tag team apocalypto. The first one was simply wonderful. Oh, it was so great. And with it being kind of under the WWE umbrella, they could do so much. You could have the Authors of Pain, they'd be great for it. Sanity, bring back the New Age Outlaws, the Dudleys, hell, have Edge and Christian show up. They don't even have to do anything, just get them all in there. It would be wonderful. As I said, with Matt Hardy having won a title in the match previous, it's up for Jeff Hardy to continue the Hardy streak of gold as he defends his United States Championship against Jinder Mahal. A part of me honestly thought going into this, I would say this was a nothing match really. Just Jeff hits the twist of fate and then hits the Swanton Bomb, 1, 2, 3, and Jeff retains. Almost. It was almost that. But I'm sure as anyone who's watching this probably has heard by now, there was the almightiest of almightiest botches. Not a funny one. That's the sad part. It was a really kind of deflating one. There's a hilarious one coming later, but this one was just really bad. Okay, so what happened was you had Jeff went for the Whisper in the Wind, and Jinder was getting to his feet to take the move, but he wasn't in position, and he wasn't standing in the right spot physically, and he didn't kind of get up in time when Jeff launched himself off to go for the Whisper in the Wind. And so there was no one home, just Jeff crashed into the ground. Now, it would have been fine if Jinder just went to cover Matt to try to pin him or started wailing on him. And I don't mean to be overly critical, because I've never wrestled a match in my life and I have no idea what I'd do in the same circumstances, but he's a former WWE champion, so he probably should have known better than to act like the move had connected. Like, you could even hear like the shocked gasp of all the children in the arena who had been told that it was a work, but they just didn't believe it yet. Like, you can imagine, there had to have been at least one child in that arena who thought wrestling was real saw that happen and went, oh my god, everyone was right. Oh, Jinder. Here's the thing. I really like Jinder. Like, when he was the WWE champion, as he was touring around and, like, you know, doing, like, the press junkets, doing interviews, just looking at him, I was like, you know what? Like, he's a very good representative of the company. I'm not even talking about, like, you know, his race or his background or his heritage. Just, you know, he comes across as a gentleman. He dresses up very nice. You know, if you own a company, you see someone like him and you're like, you know what? That is someone I would want representing the company. And he is someone who, like, has worked very hard, and he has come a long way since, like, his days in, you know, 3MB and all that. So he's someone who, like, I really would love to see succeed, but God, Jinder, you have to do better than that, buddy. I'm sorry. So after our 10-minute or so interlude, we then continue on to our next match, which was for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, as the Bludgeon Brothers, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, defended their titles against the Usos. And I'm raging because I forgot to mention this in my WrestleMania review. I was so busy talking about how happy I was that the Usos finally made it onto the main card. I totally glossed over how happy I was to see Eric Rowan and Luke Harper win the Tag Team Championships, because at so many points during the run with the Wyatt family, it seemed like that was the right thing to do. There were points where they were even feuding with the Usos over the Tag Team Championships, and it would have, you know, it would have been great. It never happened at the time, and that was sad. But at WrestleMania, they've finally gotten their moment. Slightly different gimmick, a bit more squashy. That it won't get as many kind of back and forth, evenly fought matches, but still very happy for the two guys. Well done for them. As for this match on this show, it was very well put together. The Usos just tried everything in the, you know, they pulled out all the stops to try and get some sort of an upper hand, but it ultimately wasn't enough. Once the Bludgeon Brothers regained control, you had like the full Nelson assisted powerbomb for the win. Very short match, just over 5 minutes, but it got the job done. Like, the Usos put up a good fight, but like they're not going to be the guys to beat the Bludgeon Brothers. Don't know who will be the guys, but sure, they'll have to watch SmackDown to find out. And yeah, I did have to quickly double check my notes to see how long the match was. Sorry. Overall, this match was alright. Sixth match of the night is for the Intercontinental Championship, as champion Seth Rollins literally puts his title up on the line against Finn Balor, Samoa Joe and The Miz. This was match of the night. This was an awesome match. It was about 15 minutes long, which is kind of standard length for ladder matches. You have these ladder matches, Hell in a Cells. They're rarely very long matches, and if there are, that just means there's lots of downtime where people are resting, because these are matches where people do the most amount of damage to their body, so they're typically not that long. So timing wise, it was timed pretty perfectly. All four competitors looked really good in this match. They all had control sequences that made them all look good. Poor Samoa Joe could not get a bloody ladder to prop up against the turnbuckle. He was just trying to fold up ladder, just trying to lean it against the turnbuckle so he could throw people in. Actually, I said poor Joe. It's not really poor Joe, because he couldn't keep the ladder propped up, it kept falling over. And so instead of going for the standard grab people, throw them into the ladder, because it was lying down, like, he grabbed Finn Balor and just body slammed. It was a really nasty body slam onto the ladder, and like the look of pain on Finn's face, I can remember seeing like an interview with him where he was talking about how much he hates doing ladder matches. It's just like, those matches suck. It's like, why he does so little of them. Like, why would you do that to yourself? But overall, really good match, really great. Looked like Finn had things in hand with the ladder set up in the middle of the ring. He is one rung short of being able to reach up and grab the belt. But as he's about to take that final step, Seth Rollins recovers, who's on the apron, and he springboards off the top rope onto the ladder on that like rung above Finn, but on the opposite side. Logistically, the margin of error for that stunt was so small, like a little bit to the left, right, up or down. He would have just KO'd the ladder with Finn on it and wrecking himself in the process. So wow, like Seth Rollins just never ceases to amaze. He's able to springboard land perfectly on the rung above Finn, grab the belt, hoof it down and just jump off. And you have this great moment where Finn is just in shock with the way Rollins just springboards onto the ladder. Like, Finn is taken by surprise, which gives Rollins the opening. And then Finn has this moment where he's like looks up at where the belt was and then looks down at Rollins with the belt, and he just kind of goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake." But I noticed that because he noticed as well that he had like over his eye was bleeding, and I'd assume that in Saudi Arabia they'd be a lot stricter about the blood. So I think like it's an appropriate reaction for him to like do the double face palm, but at the same time it was covering up the cut. It was just there was with that brief shot, he had the hard camera shot where you could see Seth just standing on the ground raising the title, and then you just like look up and there's Finn on the ladder like. Oh, it was very good. It's definitely match of the night. Definitely well worth the watch. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. I am the worst. Never forget that. I'm actually like at the end of recording this video now, but I forgot to mention in between the Intercontinental Championship match and the WWE Championship match, there was a promo where 4 WWE prospects, new signees from Saudi Arabia, were unveiled to the world. You had Nasser, Hussein, Mansoor, and Faisal, and impressed with them. The Davari brothers came out waving an Iranian flag, which was just great for cheap heat. And apparently there's the Davari brothers. Didn't know there was a second one. Good to know. And one thing, the only reason I'm mentioning all of this is because I'm pretty sure it's something everyone mentioned, but keep an eye out for Mansoor, because that guy was super impressive. He was super sincere, charming, and charismatic on the microphone. He has a great look to him. He's one of those guys that when you see him, like he's someone who made a debut and you like instantly go, ooh, yeah, that guy, go him, now, do it. That's all I'm going to mention about that. Really cool. Yeah, so on to talk about the WWE Championship match now. Well, the next match certainly have their work cut out for them, having to follow that ladder match. Who could possibly do it? Oh wait, it's AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Championship. I think they'll be alright. So here we are, we have that. It's actually a lot sooner than I thought it would be that I'm standing in front of the camera talking about that follow-up match to their Mania Championship bout, except with the dynamic of AJ being a face, Nakamura being a heel, and AJ looking for revenge because Nakamura just won't stop punching him in the balls. Like, if you know a guy who's punched you in the balls every week, and in fact in 1 week managed to do it like more than twice, like you are definitely going to want to beat the crap out of this guy. Also, before mentioning the match, I would also like to mention Nakamura's new entrance theme, which is very cool. It's a nice way to keep that really sexy hook of a violin lead line that he has typically for his song, but then kind of to spice it up a bit and make it more heel orientated by having the Japanese rap done above it. And I'm raging because I saw on Twitter it was a heel by nature. I saw post it and I was raging because I was in work and I thought of this joke, and then by the time I got to the phone I was like, someone beat me to it. But if you can't, check out the video. It should be knocking about here on YouTube somewhere, where everyone was thinking once they heard the Japanese rap, where it was just like, how cool would it be if the lyrics are just about being a gangster who goes around punching people in the balls. As for their match itself, I enjoyed this way more than I did the Mania match. Just there was so much more stakes involved in it, and they were going after each other. There was none of that, hey, you're a nice guy, respect, let's have this respectful wrestling match. Like, there was just, every move was like vicious. I was a bit surprised AJ went for the chain wrestling at the start. I figured he'd just go in swinging for the fences, but then you can easily say, well, AJ is an honourable wrestler. He's not just going to go in for the fist swing straight away. Or you could say maybe AJ knows, like, having faced Nakamura a few times, knows that might not be the smartest way. Like, he still wants to beat him in a match. Like, to get any sort of revenge for him, just beat him in the ring again. So gonna do it clean, do it properly. But like at the same time, you could see that aggressiveness whenever AJ was going for like the collar and elbow tie up or a side waist lock or something. There was a lot more kind of aggression in it. He was definitely looked like he was trying to hurt him much more than he was at the Mania match. So really cool match going back and forth. And what you're wondering, I'm wondering, does Nakamura get to hit him in the bollocks? Yep. You have Styles goes for the phenomenal forearm, but Nakamura was able to kind of duck and position himself in such a way that AJ misses him, and he's about to hit. It looks like he's going to hit the referee, but AJ's able to stop the move, and he's able to land in such a way, and the referee's cowering over, and AJ's over him going, I'm not going to hit you, and then Nakamura comes up from behind, hits him in the bollocks and rolls him up. the sentences I'm saying here. But it's too close to the ropes. Like, kind of Nakamura panicking just to get the pin in, doesn't kind of quite realise where they are, and Styles is able to get the rope break. They fight to the outside, and they get counted out. And the second the two of them went to the... Well, not the second, but once Nakamura went to the outside, AJ followed him up, and once AJ grabbed him and threw him into the crowd barrier, I was like, this is going to end in a double count out, isn't it? And it does. You can even see, you get to a point where, like, the Nakamura's down and Styles like looks up at the referee, and like Styles has the time to get back in and take a count out win, but he doesn't. He turns back. He's too focused on wailing on Nakamura. Crowd doesn't like that finish, which any crowd would boo a double count out as the WWE Championship match. But this is where like the Saudi Arabian crowd reminded me of that old kind of Hulk Hogan crowd. Is because they like after the bell rung, it's a double count out, the crowd boo, but like AJ just keeps beating on him, hits him with a chair, hits him with his finisher, and then the crowd are really happy. And I'm like, if you did that in Philadelphia, they'd still be pissed. Like, they won't care about what you do after it. It's just like, that's inconsequential. You have to have another match. And it is announced that at Backlash they will have another match, and here's hoping they'll have another stipulation. Maybe they'll, regardless of whether you get caught or not, Nakamura, if you punch him in the bollocks, you get fired. Or maybe they'll have it no DQ. Probably false count anywhere, given how it ended in a count out. But sure, we'll see. Again, tune into SmackDown to find out. Third last match of the night, and hilariously standing in front of the camera to do this review, I thought we were on to the second last match of the night. And the reason that's funny is because when I was watching this event, I had the same thought. It's not the second last match, it's the third last match. But what match is it? We have the Greatest Royal Rumble and the WWE Universal Championship match. What is it? Oh yeah, it's the casket match between The Undertaker and Rusev. Watching the show live, totally forgot about that. Doing this review, totally forgot about that. As for this match itself, this match was alright. This match lasted a lot longer than I thought it would. Still less than 10 minutes long, but that's still like about 6 minutes longer than I thought it would. Match was shorter than Taker's entrance, which is a big plus for Rusev. In most of the match, it was Rusev rolling out of the ring. He was refusing to get into the ring with The Undertaker. What I liked about this was, while eventually you got the typical thing of the person rolls out of the ring and they turn their back and they go, oh yeah, whatever, and then when they turn back around, Undertaker's followed them out and they have the big, he's here. You did get that, but Rusev was clearly using this a lot more to get an opening on him. Most people were doing that who do that in an Undertaker match are just trying to run away and buy time, before he kills them. Whereas with this, Rusev very clearly was waiting for openings, and he did take them, and he got in a lot more offense than I thought he would. He was able to get in plenty of punches. I actually was surprised also surprised by how well he was kind of poised as a striker opposite The Undertaker. Like, that's usually a big no-no. Usually if you get into a striking match with The Undertaker, that's it. He's just going to take you out. Like, Brock is like the only guy I can think of where he was able to trade hands with him, and it's like, this is even, not with the commentators immediately going, no, don't trade hands with it, he's the best pure striker. Michael Cole there, like, how many times in the last 20 years have I said this and nobody listens to me? But Rusev held his own. He was able to get his spinning heel kick, his match kick, the accolade. So yeah, got a lot of offense in The Undertaker. But then The Undertaker sat up and chokeslammed him, and that was pretty much the end of Rusev. Very clever how English ran in for kind of ran interference, and he had a chokeslam and a tombstone, and the second Taker spinned him over for the tombstone. I was like, yes, because Aiden would be a lot lighter than Rusev, so it'd be a lot easier for the Undertaker to tombstone him than it would be for him to tombstone Rusev. That's some smart booking right there. And yeah, Taker dumps the two of them in the casket, closes the lid. Match is over, Taker wins. Again, I'm looking at what The Undertaker's doing now, and I kind of look at it as like a greatest hits tour. They're like, we'll get him out, he had a WrestleMania match, he was dominant, he won, he beat a big name in John Cena. Now, we're breaking out the casket match. It looks like this could be his last year, which I know we say every year. But yeah, I'm just looking at this as the greatest hits tour, and as long as he can go out there and do it and, not hurt himself, or at least still be able to enjoy himself, you know what, I'm all up for it as well. And now here is the second last match of the night. This is the match I was most interested in for one particular reason. You see, this match is the WWE Universal Championship match. Brock Lesnar defending his title against Roman Reigns inside a steel cage. And why was I most interested in this match? Is it because I thought finally this is when Roman would dethrone Brock? No. The reason I was most interested in this match is because I had read online, as lots of people had, that like Roman is over the way Vince wants him to be over in Saudi Arabia. He's a huge star, he's on tons of posters, he's on buses and TV ads and this, that and the other. And see, they had Roman lose at WrestleMania because they knew he'd get booed and it would be really bad for in terms of the audience reception if he won then. But when he comes out here in front of the Saudi Arabian people, they're going to cheer for him. And I just can't wait to hear that first Bruno of his entrance music, to hear the crowd cheer. Like I was, based on what I heard, I was fully expecting like them to go nuts for him and just cheer him. So I wanted to see what that looked like for him to come out and to have tens of thousands of people all universally praise him. And I'm not gonna lie, he got like at the very best a mixed reaction, with it being more boos than cheers. And when he came out and I could hear him, like it was like a split second, I was just like, I think I hear booing. I think I hear a lot of booing. It's like, there is cheering, there's definitely cheering. Don't believe, if anyone says he got 100% booed by the crowd, don't believe that. There was cheering, but there definitely was more booing than cheering. So it's another one of those moments where I'm just like, uh-oh, how's this gonna go then? And hilariously, Brock comes out and 100% cheer. Everyone's going nuts for him. Fun fact, Paul Heyman was with him. The internet said Paul Heyman wouldn't be there. And they also said they'd have to take an hour-long intermission for a prayer hour. So that's two things they were wrong about. Internet, you don't know everything, do you? If memory serves, I referred to the WrestleMania match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns as utter cack. Now, this match was not utter cack. What really separated this match from the WrestleMania match was the fact that this match was only 9 minutes long, so you had a lot less of it to put up with before we got to the end. There was a steel cage there as well, which helped matters, but Superman punch, German suplex, Superman punch, German suplex, Superman punch, German suplex, spear F5, spear F5. You're not watching my WrestleMania review again, that's just how the match went. The only variable was you had the cage, which helped things a little. You had Brock and Roman were throwing each other into the cage. At one point, after hitting like 12 or 14 or 27 spears, Roman tries to leave the cage through the door, but Heyman slams the door on Roman's head. Very nice touch. This match ends with Brock standing in between the actual ring ropes and the cage behind him, and Reigns runs and spears through him. And here's the important part now, because Brock goes through and Brock's back hits the ground and kind of his feet are up, and Roman falls through with them and rolls over. And the bell rings, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, Roman's done it! Because the rules of a cage match to win via escaping is the opposite of a Royal Rumble. You want your feet to touch the ground. You have to escape the cage, both feet have to hit the ground. Roman hit the ground, so did Brock, but Brock's feet didn't touch the ground, and then Roman rolled over, and both his feet touched the ground, and then it was like 2 seconds later that Brock rolled over, and the same thing happened. He'd done it! Bell rings, referee announce, here's your winner, and still, wait, what? Yes, still Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. What happened there? Well, I think it would be unfair to call it a botch. From what I could see that happened was clearly Brock was supposed to roll over and have his feet touch the ground, or at least his feet was meant to actually touch the ground when they initially impacted through the cage, but just the actual cage itself didn't fold enough. So when they landed, Brock's feet weren't near the ground, and then Brock was just winded to hell. Like, you can't blame the guy for not immediately going, oh yeah, I have to make sure both my feet are hitting the ground. Like, you could see it really took it out of him, so not going to hold it against him. And the announce team immediately went for, oh, well, it's the referee's decision, which on one hand, if this means that they can just go, alright Roman, you're going to have to go and do something else now, great. If he comes out in Raw, which is tonight, you could very well end up watching Raw before you watch this, and he goes, oh, I need another rematch, oh, my feet hit the floor first. I don't know why, Roman doesn't talk like that, but sure. You know what, if he goes out and cuts the promo just like that, at least it'll be something. So, yeah, as for the, I don't care, I really don't care, just move on. That's it, just move on. Let's do something else now. And we will. We're going on to the main event now. It is the 50-man Royal Rumble, and I'm going to go through every single entrant in chronological order. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Right, so just a couple of key talking points about this match. One big kind of reaction I saw online on Twitter was that the match was too long, and on one hand I'd agree for obvious reasons, like a 30-man Royal Rumble can be over an hour, so you would imagine a 50-man Royal Rumble would be around an hour and 40 minutes. It was a little shorter than that, but it still was overly long, so in that kind of aspect I would agree with it. But I do think if you got the right roster of 50 guys, I think it would be possible. So like anyone who's to say like, oh, it wasn't too gone on this match, I was bored for extended periods because it was too long and you had just too much kind of mid-card and nobodies coming out in a row, I agree with that, but I did see a couple of people saying, oh, WWE never do that again. I think they should give it another try. But see, one of the biggest problems this match had was that anyone who had competed previously didn't show up again. So you're having a 50-man Royal Rumble, you've no John Cena, you've no Triple H, you've no Undertaker, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, The Miz, Matt, Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, Cesaro, Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, The Usos, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, if you're doing a 50-man Royal Rumble, you're leaving all of those guys out. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. But anyway, on to this year's greatest Royal Rumble ever. It was also announced that, along with getting the big trophy, there was a championship belt being introduced, which is great, because like that's just what we need, like another one of those. You know what, I can't wait, because like a year from now, I'm probably going to be a WWE champion of some point. I don't know, the WWE under 100 subscribers champion or something like that. Because there's too many bloody titles. Would have been fine with the trophy. They had to throw a title in there as well. That's cool. Just whoever wins this match better be there to do the greatest Royal Rumble match 2019 to defend it. Anyway, highlights of the match. Before highlights of the match, my prediction was Daniel Bryan, and that was a prediction of mainly just the heart. I thought in my head, I think it was a case of head said Braun Strowman, heart said Daniel Bryan. And when Daniel Bryan came out at number 1, it kind of broke my heart a little, but got me really excited, because it's like, I instantly, for any of these multi-man matches, I never like the all these guys chant, where you have a multi-man match and the crowd going, all these guys, or both these guys for singles matches or anything like that. Like, for me, wrestling's at its best when you have the one guy and like in your heart you're just like, I want this one to win. And then when you get something like that where it's a 50-man Royal Rumble and he's coming out at number 1 and it was weird. It was the most pumped, despite kind of being the most star-deprived Royal Rumble and there being an extra 20 people. It was probably the most excited I was overall, because Daniel Bryan lasted from number 1 and he went through everyone until he was the second last man eliminated. And he was in there for, I'm going to have to cheat here a moment, hang on, he was in there for 1 hour, 16 minutes and 5 seconds. That is a ridiculous amount of time for anyone to spend in a Royal Rumble match, and his whole chest was just blistered up, even under his arms. They were all just torn up. It was, but you know, the thing that was so shocking was when you looked at how ferocious he was at the start of the match. He was just as ferocious by the end of the match. He didn't look tired or anything. The dude had been wrestling for over an hour and a quarter, and he was still just as good to go by the end as he was at the start. So great. You know, so grateful, as he would say, to even just to be able to watch that. Like, every time I see Daniel Bryan compete since his return, I still get that. He's back. Oh, he's back. I can't believe he's back. It's, I can't even, words. Here I am doing a review and like just words have just completely eluded me. I can't. It was such a great Royal Rumble performance from him. Even like from longevity alone, and then just from a cardio perspective, how he was still going the way he was at the end of it. It was absolutely amazing. Sad that he didn't get to win, but as I had picked in my head, my heart said Bryan, head said Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman did win. Because I was thinking either Braun's winning this or Braun's just not going to be in the match altogether. And he did. He was in the match, and you know, he dominated. It was actually, I think this was the advantage of having so many mid-card to jobbers in the match. Braun was able to set a new Rumble record in a very short space of time, getting 13 eliminations in, which congrats Braun, because like a lot of people are calling Braun the second coming of Kane, and Kane's my favourite wrestler of all time, and I can see that in him as well. I'm like, dude, just put him in, not a sheep's mask. like when Kane should just like break out like his old mask and just like be like, Braun, here you go. And then Braun can be the new Kane. And that way Kane never has to go, and I'm really happy. I'm going to a really weird place with this review now. Anyway, really happy for Braun. Looked super dominant. The amount of times everyone dogpiled on him and he was just able to and knock everyone out of the way. Hilariously, there was a bit of a botch because you had Cass came out pretty late into the match, and of course he's feuding with Daniel Bryan, so you had everyone was dogpiling Strowman in the corner, and when Cass's music hits, Bryan, about to join the dogpile, kind of turns, and it's just like, oh, Cass is here, come on, and man, like Bryan's like an hour into the match at this point now, and he has all the welts, and he's still like, yeah, come on, let's do this, and Cass comes running down, and I think what was supposed to happen was Cass and Bryan were supposed to like engage and back off to another side of the corner, like another side of the ring, so then Braun would be able to do the whole explosion of people, but he did it too early. The second Cass got into the ring, he did it, and like everyone fell on top of Cass, and he fell on top of Bryan, and like, yes, it was a botch, but at the same time it kind of looked really cool, and it was very fitting of Braun's character. It was just like, you know, everyone pay attention to me, and he just takes them all down. Very cool. Not the funniest botch of the night. Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil. You know, if you don't know, he was running down to the ring, he fell, it was fucking hysterical. Just stop this. If you don't know, if you can't put an image, if you can't perfectly play that back in your head, stop this video and just go and watch it now. It's the funniest thing. It's so goddamn fun. I could not stop laughing. And you know what? Apparently Vince couldn't stop laughing either, because when that fall happened, when a botch happens of any kind, you'd be wondering, oh, how does Vince feel about that? And if all the cameras kind of pull away from whatever's going on and then don't show any replays of anything close to it, you're like, oh no, he must be mad. But like, he showed this replay of this event so many times from so many different angles, sometimes at normal speed, sometimes in slow-mo, sometimes of slow-mo transitioning into normal speed, and they just kept coming in the end, like Michael Cole trying to like steer the conversation away from everyone laughing their asses off, and Titus just tripping over himself, and then he just, you know, like, okay, well, you know, we still have the greatest Royal Rumble where the stakes are high, and yeah, I'm being told we're going to show a replay of the fall again, and then they all start laughing. Oh, it was... man, this is like a really messy analysis of the match. This is like, oh, Daniel Bryan's so great, Braun Strowman won, good for him. Titus, you tit. There are a few other points that I could mention, but like there were so many competitors, and you know, if I start mentioning others, no joke, I'll start feeling bad that I don't mention everyone or something that they all did. So yeah, those would be my three. The three people talking about: Bryan, absolute hero; Braun, well done, well deserved; Titus. Let me try that again. Bryan, absolute hero. Strowman, absolute hero. Titus, absolute hero. All three of them, well done. So outside of the three heroes of this match, yes, it was a very long match. I wouldn't necessarily say that they'd even need to make it shorter. I'd love for in WWE 2K19 to include a 50-man Royal Rumble. 2K get working on that. But for the WWE themselves, you know, if once a year when they go to Saudi Arabia and they do this 50-man Rumble, that's great. Just more star power. Don't be afraid to recycle guys from earlier on in the night, like, you know, to get the John Cena or Triple H showing up in the middle would have really, you know, just in terms of star power, help elevate the match a lot more. But it was really fun because I was just so invested in Daniel Bryan. As long as he was in the match, I was totally absorbed in what was going on, and time was moving by a lot faster subsequently than it really felt like it was. So you know what, I enjoyed that Royal Rumble. Saddened that Bryan couldn't win, but you know what, there's now, if this becomes an annual tradition, that means there are now 2 Royal Rumbles every year, and you know what, he's going to have to win one of them eventually then. Anyway guys, I'm fried in the brain right now. You know, thought this was going to be like a 3.5 hour long show, this Saudi show. I don't know why, with the amount of matches that were announced. I don't know, I need to go like learn the concept of time. Anyway, this Rumble, it was a good Rumble. It was a good show overall. As for the controversy, if you've waited through this whole video to hear me talk about the controversy, you're going to be very disappointed, so just go ahead and turn the video off now. But with that, yeah, it sucked that the women weren't allowed to perform, and even there was some controversy, like as far as the royal family of Saudi Arabia were concerned, when a trailer for Backlash was played and it showed Carmella. Whoa, no. Yeah, it sucks, and a lot of people refer to the 200 million as dirty money. But you have the two on one hand, you have people saying, you know what, if they're not going to let the women wrestle at all, then they should have nothing to do with them. And then on the other hand, you had I think Triple H put it best, where he was saying, look, this is a system that, you know, they have their own culture and their own way of doing things, and we have to respect that. But at the same time, like, obviously we would love things to be different there, and we'd like to at least show them our way of doing things, so maybe change could come in the future. But we're not going to be able to implement that change from the outside. If we just say, no, we're having nothing to do with you, see you later, well then there's never going to be the women allowed to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. Whereas at least if this show goes really well, this can be the first step, and it's rumoured they're going to come back to Saudi Arabia in November. Maybe not then, maybe not a year from now, but there's the whole diversity campaign for 2030 that they're doing in Saudi Arabia. So who knows, maybe before 2030 we can get that first women's match there. And that's really at this point for me, it's too early into this endeavour to make a judgment call one way or another. If 10 years from now there's still no women's matches and they're just like popping out the millions to the McMahons, then it's like, alright, you know what, maybe at this point you should put your foot down and say, alright, you know what, let the women wrestle or we're gone. But at the same time, if like a year or two from now it still hasn't happened, you know, progress in these things takes a long time. That's the truth of it. Yeah, so the reason I'm not going too hard one way or the other, or I'm not talking too much about it, is, honest to God's truth, I'm just ignorant of the culture over there. You know, I'd hear bits here and there, and you know, it's on me. The onus would be on me to go and research it better. So not that I'd be afraid to give my opinion on it, it's just the fact that I know well enough that I don't know enough to give a really strong opinion one way or the other. As it stands right now, my opinion is, I agree with the points Triple H made. If we just walk away, nothing's going to ever get done. If we're involved, at least we can change the system from the inside. And then my addition onto that is looking at the way the world works in general. Progress and things like this takes time, so let's give it time. And if in time things haven't changed, well then let's kind of revisit it. Kind of, you know, give it fair time for things to become better. But if after that time not, well then we'll have a discussion. Also, that gives me several years to actually research, so I'll know more about the subject, so I'll be able to talk about it properly. Anyway, if you stuck around to listen to me talk about the controversy and you're really intrigued to what I had to say on the matter, I'm sorry. If you're someone who only watched the review and didn't really care about me having anything to say about the controversy, also, I'm sorry. And this is where we're going to wrap up the video, so please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and the link to my Twitter will be in the description. You're probably thinking, oh, he's running very low on battery life, isn't he? Ha! Yes, I am. See ya. Backlash coming up soon. I'll do that one too. Cheers!